I have more fresh farm eggs that my family can eat right now, and we're still keeping some to hatch, but we have so many right now, the hens are laying at full, so I have to preserve them. But before I show you and explain to you the different ways to preserve eggs, I want to show you something. I want to show you the difference between a farm egg and a store-bought egg right there. So we're gonna crack two and let's see the difference. Let's crack these eggs and see the difference. Here are my farm eggs. Let's just take one. Right there. This is the farm egg. You can see the dark yellow. Now, let's take one of my store-bought egg. I'm gonna crack it on that side, and we're gonna compare the color. It's actually not too bad, but that's mine here from the farm. This is the store. You see how much paler it is? Not the same dark yellow. So the color difference here is not a trick. It is nutrition. What the farm egg has that the store-bought egg does not have. What makes that yolk darker? So the yolk color comes from carotenoid, which is a pigment that you find in grass, in insects, and on a varied diet. So if it's dark, what does it mean? It means that your chicken was grass-fed. It went outside free-ranging in the farm. And when it's pale, it means it didn't have such a varied diet. It was not free-ranging, not eating insects and grass. It was industrially grown. So the darker the color, more antioxidant, so better for you. And the paler, it means the chicken had more grains. So yes, you can look here. It says excellent source of vitamin E, omega-3, and so on. Yes, it does have it even from the store. But the ones coming from the farm have more. So more vitamin D coming from the sun exposure of the chicken, more vitamin E, more omega-3, 2.5 times more actually on the fresh farm egg rather than the store-bought. And through some studies, I've even read it contains less cholesterol. Not sure on that one. So I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just a French woman looking at the different eggs. And I know what my grandma used to buy at the market long time ago in France. They were coming from the farm and they were much darker yolk color. So here I am with my pack of eggs. All these from the farm, the one from the store that has been sanitized, washed, and once you remove that protective coating on the egg, it has to be kept in the fridge. The one from the farm, we haven't washed, we haven't done anything, so it is good to last 2-3 weeks on the counter as is. And this here is a big difference as well between the American way and the French way. In France, you don't necessarily wash and sanitize the egg. They keep this natural coating on the outside that helps preserving them without having to put them in the fridge. So that's a cultural difference. There's no right or wrong way. It's just different. But now let's talk preservation, because I have here 3 times 18, which is 54, I believe, eggs to preserve from the farm. And I did get these 12 here just to show you the color difference, but I'm not gonna waste them either. They're gonna be preserved. So how can we preserve eggs for long-term food storage? So the first way, the baseline, is the fridge. An unwashed farm egg with its bloom can last up to 3 months in the fridge. Pretty nice. Now, if you wash them, remove the bloom, 4 to 5 weeks in the fridge, just like a store-bought egg. How do you know whether you have still that coating around the egg? You put it on the water and try washing it, one of them. And if it still has the natural protective coating, it's gonna feel a bit more waxy. So it's gonna let you know, then you know they can last longer, don't wash. Another way to preserve is to freeze them, but for that you cannot freeze the egg like it comes. You're gonna have to crack it open, stir it up and then put it, I would favor some ice cubes and just freeze them as ice cubes. And then once ready, you can unfreeze and just cook. And like this, it can preserve in the freezer about a year. So this is perfect for baking. You want to do scrambled eggs, you just unfreeze and it's ready. If you want to do poached eggs, not that much. Fried eggs, not that much. So, but if you want to make a quiche, a cake, that's fine. Another way to preserve eggs is to pickle them. So you've got different approach here, different seasoning, the French way, the American way, the Southern American way, but it's all the same. At the end, you have to have a solution here, often made with vinegar and spices. Different spices give you different taste. Your eggs, and you keep in the fridge for 3 to 4 months. So it is not long term, but it is very tasty. And myself, I have done it quite a few times with some quail eggs, and the result was delicious. I will put the link to the video on the top and you can just follow how I prepared them and try it out. Let me know how it tastes. So the French way, usually you put white vinegar, some bay leaf, peppercorns and thyme, and that is it, and you preserve in your fridge. Easy, très simple. Another way to preserve the eggs is to water glass them, one of the favorite way of many homesteaders. To do that, you're gonna need a large glass jar. So that one is actually not large enough. You can maybe fit 6-7 eggs. I would go for much bigger. And how do you do it? You pretty much fill the jar with a brine, so a mix of food-graded hydrated lime, which is calcium hydroxide, water, up to the top, and the proportion here is 1 ounce of this hydrated lime per quart of water. So you mix well, you put up to the top, and then you put your eggs with the pointy end down. And for this, you need to use farm eggs, meaning you want the eggs that have still the bloom, that protective coating around them. And once this is done, you can actually keep them at room temperature up to 18 months. So it is not long term, I would say mid-term. It does keep them for the next season. And water glassing is not a modern invention. That has been done for ages. So it's a proven way to preserve eggs. So if you find water glassing a bit intimidating, an easier way just to keep the eggs for the next season is to use mineral oil. So food grade mineral oil that you put around the eggs to preserve it. It pretty much seals the pores around the eggs. So you can store it at room temperature or in the fridge up to 9 months. So it's a bit simpler than water glassing here. If you find it intimidating, that's a way to go, just with a food grade mineral oil to seal the egg. And it only takes 5 minutes. So probably the fastest of all the solutions I proposed here. Another way to preserve your eggs, longer term here, is to dehydrate them. To do so, you're first gonna whisk the eggs, put a thin layer on your dehydrator plate, put it in the dehydrator, 140 degrees, 8 to 10 hours until it's brisk, and that is it. Then you can blend that mixture, the dry mixture, to become powder. It's gonna take a lot less room for you to preserve. You put the powder in a jar with an oxygen absorber. You make sure it's airtight, and you can preserve it at room temperature on the shelf 5 to 10 years. So the longest method of everything so far, until the next one. So the last way to preserve eggs, and my favorite here because it's the longest shelf life, is the freeze dryer. I'm lucky I have one and I use it as much as I can. So to do so, same as the dehydrator here, you're gonna have to whisk the eggs. For the freeze dryer, I would make sure you do it the way you like eating your eggs, meaning you add salt, I like garlic powder, pepper, even if you want to add some veggies, everything, and I cook my eggs. I cook my eggs like I would eat it right away, except that I don't eat it. I put it on my freeze dryer trays and I freeze dry it. And once it's freeze-dried, I put it in my bag with an oxygen absorber or two, seal it, and you have it, and that should last more than 10 years, up to 2025. The containers is strong and well sealed. So definitely my favorite method here, if you're lucky to have a freeze dryer. So a lot of options here, and none of them are complicated. Choose the one that fits you best depending on the amount of eggs and your appetite for experiments here, because water glassing can be an experiment for you. And depending on the machines you have, whether you have a dehydrator, a freeze dryer, find the right one for you. And myself, I'm gonna get ready here to freeze dry my eggs. So hopefully you found this useful. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button, share this video with others, and let me know how you preserve your eggs. Thank you all for watching. À bientôt. Now let's look at the difference in color once cooked. This here is from the farm. This is from the store. Exact same preparation, exactly the same spices, and look at the color. This one here is definitely much darker. See? Big difference. Farm eggs, store-bought.